Har.
Har. You have to be easy on us with the first question now.
Not really, no.
Ease us into it.
We only go hard over here.
This is a trap.
So, beginning of the episode. Welcome to Sheel عندك episode. This is going to be episode. لا, which one did we shoot yesterday?
Six.
Which episode is out? 3 and then now 4. This is going to be episode 5.
Okay.
This is going to be episode 5. It's going to air in 2 weeks, inshallah. We have both our friends, David and Philip. We just met you guys, but I really like you already, honestly.
Nice to meet you.
So we met you through Instagram. Thank you for replying. Again, thank you a lot for replying. You guys have an insane story, honestly, which I'm still amazed by. We sat in the restaurant and talked for a bit, but we want to hear all about it, please. So,
all about the details. How did you come
first
to
of
it?
all, let's treat this as if we have 70 million people who are going to watch it. So whatever you want people to know, whatever you want people to support you with, it's going to be aired in 2 weeks. So keep in mind, wherever you are in 2 weeks, people are going to watch this, hopefully.
Yep.
Inshallah.
Floor is yours, inshallah.
Yeah. First thing first, I suppose. Hopefully everyone understands our Irish language here.
I love it.
It's clear. It's clear. It's really clear.
But yeah, do you want to start at the beginning? Way back when?
Yeah, so I guess we'll introduce ourselves first. I'm Philip. David. We're two friends from Portlaoise, Ireland. Known each other since we were about 6 or 7. Grew up together playing in Gaelic football and hurling, which are our national sports.
Amazing.
Went through school together and did our first motorbike trip together when we were about 21 in Vietnam. Neither of us had a motorbike license. Only one of us knew how to drive a motorbike before the trip.
I'm guessing that one is you.
Yeah, I know how to drive a motorbike, and I taught David how to drive one in Ho Chi Minh, a park in Ho Chi Minh. So that was our first trip. It was about 5,000 kilometers. David nearly killed a 70-year-old woman on day 1.
What an opening.
No major accidents from there on. That was a success. We kind of always said we would do a big trip together after that. And
this is a big one.
Yeah, this is the big trip. Kind of inspired by, I guess, Long Way Down and Long Way Round. Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman, if anybody's ever heard of them.
McGregor, yes.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor's famous actor from Scotland.
No.
Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Star Wars, yeah. They basically did a trip all around the world, and then they did a trip from Scotland down to South Africa.
Wow.
And I remember I was 14 years old, sick at home from school, and just thinking before, like, I'm 30, I'm definitely doing something like that. And so 28. I was 28 years old 2 years ago before COVID, and
you're 34 after COVID.
and a life event kind of brought about me questioning like where I was and stuff. And I said to him, I was like, well, are you up for doing this trip?
And I'm the yes man. So
And
Philip comes up with the ideas, I just say yes.
and
Did you watch the movie?
Yes,
I love the movie.
and so here we are, 2 years, I guess, late, but
Is this the biggest trip you ever made?
yeah, by far, yeah, sure, 13,000 kilometers traveled
Yeah, it is big.
in 6
So far,
weeks.
yeah.
That's
and
amazing.
Another probably 10 to 15 to go. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
In terms of organisation, it's been a headache, I suppose, because obviously we initially planned to do it in 2020.
I thought you guys are doing it really well.
Okay.
You seem like you're doing it really
Yeah,
well.
we did a lot of research
Okay.
before we left. So our initial plan was to kind of follow in the footsteps of Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman and drive east.
Okay.
So through Europe, Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Russia, Mongolia, and then Russia, and do an infamous road over there called the Road of Bones.
Joan Jones is there?
Bones Jones.
Which is famous for during the Stalin era.
Stalin, yeah.
They kind of took all the intelligent people, Jews, kind of anyone who questioned the government over there, and ordered them to build this road because there was kind of mines and precious minerals over in eastern Siberia. And basically anyone that died then was buried with the road, so it's called the Road of Bones.
It's all the Gulag. You've heard of the Gulags?
Nope.
Gulags are like...
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, basically during the Soviet Empire, during the Great Purges, they sent anyone they didn't like basically to these prisons in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And you worked in hard labour until you died, until you dropped. Wow. And so some of the famous gulags around Magadan, the prisoners worked on these roads, and they call it the Road of Bones because it's basically built on the bones of all the prisoners. Oof. So it's really famous. It's not a road anymore, it's closed. It's about 250k of like swamp, mosquitoes, for like one of the most famous adventure roads in the world. Like pure suffering for 5 or 6 days, but like just amazing.
Yeah, I know the appeal in that.
Yeah.
I get it.
So that was the original idea. But
and just going back to the research team then, we came to the conclusion in November 2019 we were going to do it, and then the research started then. So we read all the Lonely Planet books, planned out the routes, got visas already. So we had a Russian visa, paid for and organised.
Which is quite a complicated visa to get.
Yeah. Really? Which one is the hardest?
For that trip, Russia.
That trip, it was the Russia.
Because you need a multiple entry visa because you're going in and out of Russia a few times. You can't get a tourist visa that's multiple entry.
We got like a business visa.
Business
okay.
visa. Okay.
Yeah,
business
visa. Yeah.
So you guys had a contact over there, like in Russia, to?
Actually, no. There was an Irish organisation that organised it for
an agency that sorted it.
Okay.
But you'd pay a bit of.
It's like a hack.
Yeah, kind of. They did all the work.
Yeah.
And they knew people, so
that's nice.
So researched all that, had it kind of nearly all planned.
I'd quit my job.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Casually.
I'd handed in my notice.
You quit your job in 2019?
2 weeks.
2020,
2 weeks into January 2020.
Oh wow!
COVID.
Yeah.
And then, bang, COVID
Everyone
came.
shut down.
Ruined all our plans.
My last day in work was it was like the big day in Ireland when they closed the schools. Everyone was like, oh, this is really serious. And that was my last day in work. I remember going for a few drinks afterwards, and everyone was like, ha ha ha, your trip might be delayed now, Phil, or maybe 3 or 4 weeks delayed. And everyone was giving me the nudge. And
2 years later.
2 years later. Yeah, so we cancelled it in 2020. With the hope of everyone else saying, oh, COVID will be gone in 2 or 3 months, so we'll do it in 2021.
How bad was it in Ireland? Not necessarily the cases, but like the situation.
Pretty serious.
Did you go through a lockdown?
Oh,
A complete lockdown?
7 weeks.
7 weeks, but how was it? Because I think it's different, and each country is different.
Definitely.
It was tough, yeah. I remember probably week 5, people started breaking the rules.
Oh, okay.
I went to a town nearby with my girlfriend just to get away, and I remember we got stopped by the guards, and or the police. The police, we call them the guards in Ireland.
Yeah, it's the Irish name for police.
That's nice. That's more intimate. It feels more intimate.
Yeah.
And just had to tell him a little lie that we were brother and sister and we were going to see our auntie.
They stopped you at Saudi?
Yeah, so we're just saying, we're just going down the road here. But yeah, everyone kind of obeyed it for the first lockdown. Yeah. Then we kind of had a second and a third. But
I think we're the only country that didn't go through a second lockdown. But our first lockdown was 100 days. A full 100 days. Yeah. Exactly 100 days. And there is only one person that broke the rules. That's the only person that broke the rules.
You can get a ticket. You can pay.
The fine was 2,400 pounds.
Oh yeah.
If you go outside.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
If you go outside.
If you go outside.
Yep.
But only in the 100 days, and then it became you take a permit online for an hour walk, which I used to do to walk the dogs. And then your phone is monitored, so you'd get a fine online if you stayed more than an hour.
Okay. No.
And then it became you can apply for an hour permit to drive somewhere.
Yeah.
But they had checkpoints all over.
No.
Serious.
We had like various stages, but never anything like that. Our most stringent was you weren't allowed to be more than 5 kilometers from your house, but you could go out for a walk, you go out for physical activity, no problem.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It sounds logical for a lockdown. Like
Yeah.
you're giving me a chance to walk, as you said.
Yeah, I found that really like
He found it.
I found it completely bizarre.
But now you know how lenient that
Wow.
one was. Yeah.
Even more than the complete lockdown? Like, would you have a complete lockdown or the 5K thing?
Oh, that was
That
our
was
complete
our complete
Oh,
lockdown.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
My complete lockdown was this area.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mind
So,
blown.
There you go. And he thought our one was hard. So imagine
Yeah.
him.
I
imagine
really,
him
yeah,
over
I
here.
was I was railing against our lockdown.
I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gained
A lot of
14 kgs and I was giving 2 fitness classes a day, but I wasn't working out.
Yeah, yeah.
I reached the fattest point in my life.
How many
Yeah.
Nutellas did he eat?
I'm not joking. It's because of Nutellas. I'm not even joking. We were just saying in the restaurant, it's because of Nutellas. I used to eat a jar every 2 days.
Oh wow.
I used
Every
to do
2-3
a jar
days.
in 1 week.
Wow.
So it's
it's
kinda
funny,
same.
like how when you don't get outside, you don't get sunshine, you don't get physical activity, how like your mental patterns just spiral down.
Yeah.
Especially for an active person. Oh, you're an active person. That's why probably.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But yeah, so we had our first lockdown and we came out of it, say September, and then Delta, you know,
Delta
the
Omicron,
variant
the new one.
Delta, yeah, like the second big variant
Yeah.
came out about December, and then we went into a lockdown, not like lockdown like you call lockdown, but that like, you know, a lot of bars, restaurants, cinema, stuff like that wasn't open until May, so like
Okay.
5
okay.
months.
They actually let the bar stay open until Stephen's Day. So in Ireland, Christmas will be a big event. And a lot of people go out to the bars and pubs and drink and meet each other and catch up with people they haven't seen in a year or two or since last Christmas.
Similar
So-
to St. Patrick's Day.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, Christmas is in Ireland. Christmas is so Christmas kind of from we'll say 22nd of December to maybe the 1st or 2nd of January. We kind of call that Christmas period.
Oh,
It's
in January.
Yeah, it kind of goes into the new year.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of a period when a lot of people who are working abroad, like in New York, like a lot of Irish are
Oh,
abroad.
makes sense,
Huge,
okay.
they all come home, and you'll see people who we went to school with, but we hadn't seen for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
Wow.
years. You'll see them in this period, and you won't see them for another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So they allowed us to have those initial meetups. And then the minute December 26th ended, I think we went back into our second lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had a third with not Delta but Omicron,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
last Christmas just gone. But then the government quickly realised a lot of our population was vaccinated and wasn't as serious, and move on.
Was vaccination mandatory?
Yeah, there's a question.
No,
Wasn't
No.
mandatory. There's
No.
no check. Like they don't check if you go to.
sorry, it wasn't. It wasn't mandatory in that you weren't forced to get it, but they made life difficult for you
Yeah,
in that
that
you weren't allowed into
Yeah.
restaurants and stuff. So
Same
okay.
over here.
yeah, they weren't holding you down.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, like so percentage wise, say I'd say 95% of our population had a double
Vaccinated.
dose. So we didn't have any issues that kind of were seen in the States. This like it didn't become a political ball to be thrown around. So yeah, we didn't. And then Ireland's very small country, very homogenous population. So
That's amazing.
we don't have those kind of issues.
It's glad that it didn't turn into that.
Yeah, like people just kind of saw like in Ireland we've been taking vaccines our entire life, so we didn't.
Oh, okay.
Why would this one be different? But there was elements of the population who questioned it, which
Every
I think
population.
which I think it's healthy too.
Thank you.
It's healthy.
It is.
You need to, because if everyone just said yes, sure.
I agree.
So yeah,
The different people would bring up different points and stuff like that.
Yeah.
exactly.
So after that, you went back to planning.
Yes, so 2021 came and we had the planning done for going east. So we're like, oh, grand, yeah, we'll do that. But obviously we couldn't do it again because the borders were closed. So I ended up moving to the Cayman Islands with the plan always being that we'd go in 2022. And I was always coming back from the Cayman Islands for the bike trip. So it came to January 2022, and a lot of countries still hadn't opened up their borders. So we were getting worried about 2022. And I told my work in the Cayman Islands, so I'm finishing in February, I'm going home to do this bike trip. So they were well aware of this. And as time was ticking, I was getting more and more nervous that I'm after ruining this good opportunity over here in the Cayman Islands to come back for the bike trip, only for it to be cancelled again.
He texts me after being offered a contract. Big money involved. Are we doing this bike trip or not?
So
you can tell the panic in the text.
Yeah, I was panicking. But Philip said, let's look down doing the African route.
Okay.
And he tasked me with that
So
because he was away.
So yeah, as part of like this bike trip is kind of I've taken a year off work. So the family event the event I mentioned that kind of made me think about like what do I want to do, yada yada. It's just transitioning back into a family business, which will revolve kind of a lot of responsibility. So yeah, a few things I wanted to get done. So yeah, I've been traveling since January, so I couldn't really do a lot of planning. So I was like,
threw it on him.
So yeah, I was stressing because everything was quite fluid still. So like the border between Ethiopia and Sudan was even closed going into March.
They were at war, yeah.
They were,
yeah.
Loads of countries still required PCR tests. Some required antigen tests. So I was trying to determine what required which. Again, the whole visa issues. So like Iran, we were kind of aware that they're kind of finicky with giving visas.
Yeah, I heard that.
And they said, like, research said that if you applied individually, you had a 50-50 chance, but if you actually applied through an agent, you'd have a better chance of getting accepted into Iran.
But even the issue of like timing.
Yeah.
So you get a visa in your passport, and it might only have a validity of like 2 months, and then sometimes some countries require you to have
certain.
In order to get into our country, you need to have the visa of the country before.
At least, yes.
Oh.
And so you're trying to it's nearly like a Gantt chart. If anyone from project management background, you're trying to like get your timings all to match up perfect.
Yeah.
In a world where, timelines were very uncertain.
I had a ticket that was cancelled when I was coming back from the US to here because it passed through Canada and we didn't have a Canadian visa, and they didn't even allow us to stay at the airport. They're like, if you do not have a Canadian visa, you're just not leaving in this trip.
Wow.
And you were
crazy
in
rules.
transit.
But you were in transit, like, yeah.
Yeah, no, we were. Thank God the trip didn't start. We just canceled the ticket and bought a new ticket. That was Jeddah, Frankfurt, US, Frankfurt, Jeddah. But yeah, the original plan passed through Canada, and they're like, if you don't have, you can't check in if you don't have a visa. So you check in with your visa card. They have a visa card, I think.
Okay, so there were separate flights.
Separate flight, not transit flight, not connected.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, so...
But how did you guys manage, like, to make all the visas?
Yeah, like, the two visas we were worried most about were the Sudanese visa and the Iranian visa. And we left with our Sudanese visa in our passports because you can get it in Ireland, right? But it's only valid for 2 months.
Oh.
So we got it stamped into our passport on the 2nd of June, 2022, with the plan of getting to Sudan before the 1st of August, before it expired. But we ran into a few issues along the way, leaving us to have only 2 days to cross from Kuwait to Jeddah.
That's a distance of about 1,400 kilometers in 50-degree heat on motorbikes.
And a border crossing.
Which anywhere from 2 to 6 hours for a border crossing typically.
So what happened was we were in Kuwait tonight to fly back to my brother's wedding, and we spoke to the embassy in Kuwait about getting a new Sudanese visa. It just allowed us more time then and not having to rush across Saudi. And they said, really nice guy, he said, "Oh, that's no issue."
Yeah, so I went to the embassy, and I met the individual there, and really nice person. And he said, "Oh yeah, of course, sit down. Yeah, no worry, we'll get you a new visa, no problem at all." And I was kind of like, I didn't, because we knew that you couldn't get, if you weren't, say, a resident in Saudi, you can't be given a Sudanese visa.
Okay.
They only issue visas to residents or to Saudi nationals. So I was thinking, well, why is Kuwait different? But I don't know why I didn't ask the question. He just seemed, and he was quite high up. I'd say he was like one below the consulate, because everyone was going to him, asking him questions. So I was like, this guy knows his stuff, so I'm not going to like question anything. So I texted him and I said, it's all sorted. He'll sort us out with the visa. When you come back, you just submit your documentation and we'll have it within a day, as he said.
So I arrived back from Ireland. Philip arrives back from Turkey. We go into the Sudan embassy on the Monday, and he required one more document from me. But
vaccination.
Yeah, he said, "Grant, you'll have it for Tuesday."
This is what date now? Are we the 27th or 28th of July?
Oh, dates.
About 26th or 27th of July. And the last ferry we could have got
was the 28th.
Was the 28th. So if we didn't get the ferry on the 28th of July, we weren't getting to Sudan in time for our visa, which expired on the 1st of August.
1st of August.
So if we didn't, we had to make the call, and we made the call, right, we're not going to get that ferry.
Yeah, so Monday rolled into Tuesday. Tuesday, no visa. Tuesday rolled into Wednesday. Wednesday we were told Philip's visa was ready, but David's visa wasn't ready. Wednesday rolled into Thursday. We were told there was an issue with issuing the visas, even though we were told Philip's was ready. Yeah, but it turned out it wasn't ready.
Okay.
And that they needed special permission from Khartoum to issue the visas. And they had no deadline date.
Yeah, so the old chestnut basically of us not being residents or nationals of Kuwait came up. And that the person we had been liaising with had misunderstood the process and didn't realise that he'd given us wrong information, so we couldn't get a visa. And without special permission, which can take 2, 3, 4 weeks, which we don't have.
You don't have?
Yeah.
And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the visa office was closed.
Oh yeah.
Monday we went in and staged a sit-down protest. So we said we're not leaving until we get answers. Yeah. So we arrived there 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sat there till 1:30. Waiting to meet the consulate.
Yeah.
Waiting? Just waiting?
Just waiting. Yeah,
to speak to him, but he didn't show up. He wouldn't come out to face us and talk to us. So basically, he got the guy who we've been dealing with all along to come out and say, "Look, not possible."
And inside you're screaming. But definitely have come across a situation where it's like kicking a puppy. You could see it's written all over his face that he's like he's just so disappointed that he's caused this situation, and he's so nice as well. Throughout the whole process, he's been so nice, and you just can't give out to them. You're like,
I understand.
You're like, the disappointment's on your face, but you don't want to kick a puppy when it's down.
Yeah.
So,
well, we came up with a hack for that. So we ended up flying to Egypt for 2 days. Got our visa over there in the craziest embassy we've ever been in.
No way.
No organization. So Philip
I saw the stories.
Philip will give a good description of just one of the areas where.
Yes. So you go in and there's lines everywhere. One line's merging into another line, and there's people skipping and jumping. There was a poor lady. I don't know. I think the stress was definitely getting to her. She just she started roaring and shouting at anyone. She'd 3 or 4 relatives with her, and they were in the direct firing line. At one stage, I think it was like her daughter just like started laughing at the situation. Her mother was just so angry. There was people everywhere. But one of the queues, how they moderated who was who in the queue was, there was a piece of paper. It was like the back of an envelope.
Okay.
So there could be there was about 60 people in a room, not as big as this. It's just packed.
Wow.
No air conditioning, like everything falling apart.
No
the toilets
way.
are like.
I can imagine.
Yeah, just.
Wow.
So, So the piece of paper, you walk up to the queue, and a random person in the queue. When I first got there, I was like, is this person working here? Is this person just in the queue? I was like, what's really going on here? And you write. So he's like, what's your name? I was like, Philip, and so he writes it down in Arabic, and I was like, so why is my name on this piece of paper? And then I realized it was just a random person. It was like peer review. It was peer moderated because there was people constantly trying to skip, and then this guy in the queue was like, no, you're not on the list. You're not number 35, and he's number 36, and that guy over there is number 37, but he's just sitting down. So when this guy got to the top of the queue, he'd nominate someone else in the queue. Right now, you're the policeman of the queue, and this is how all the queues were been like managed.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's carnage.
Wow.
Yeah. There's no numbers, no tickets, nothing.
Oh, no
nothing.
Rules. No rules.
And there was one guy tried to skip the queue, and there was nearly murder in the middle of this embassy. Yeah. He was completely adamant that he was getting in, and all you just heard, no, Habibi, and just old guy just. And this guy was like, no, again. I think he was like in a rush to get somewhere.
Okay.
Because we were there, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours at this stage.
Yeah.
And now very few people have English, and we've very shui Arabic.
I can imagine.
So it was kind of a lot of guesswork.
But a lot of people helped us out,
yeah,
explaining where to go, what to do.
I think it's easier to find someone who speaks English, because the thing with Arabic, I don't know if you know, it's different from each country to another. No one uses original Arabic anymore.
Okay.
So if you learn how to speak our Arabic, it wouldn't serve you amazingly in Iraq.
Wow.
If you learned how to talk Arabic in Iraq, it wouldn't serve you anywhere. Only Iraqis get what Iraqis says. So we kind of, every Arabian country use their own slang. No one uses the original.
So what percentage of your slang would be useful, say, in Iraq?
No chance.
20? 10?
Oh, wow.
In Iraq, but especially Iraq, because Iraq has a harsh slang language.
Okay.
But let's say if you learned Arabic in Egypt, you can use it in Saudi. You can definitely use it in Saudi.
Okay.
They would know it instantly that it's Egyption, but you can use it in Saudi.
Because the movies and songs, because we listen and watch Egyptian movies.
Egyptian culture are huge on media. So we grew up watching all the Disney movies in Egyptian. And it's an amazing translation. That's why I'm telling you, the only thing you guys are missing on is Egyptian. And then all the songs, most of the singers from the Gulf area, really well-established singers, would have 1 or 2 songs in Egyptian. That's why we're very familiar with Egyptian. But yeah, that's the thing with Arabic. So you're better off finding someone who speaks English.
Okay.
I think they have a Hollywood of Arabs.
Egypt is.
Yeah,
definitely.
So. Interesting.
Gas.
Interesting. Okay. There you go. Something you learn every day. So we submitted our passports. They kept them overnight in the embassy. So we were without a passport for a number of hours. But long story short, that visa issue led to us getting to see the pyramids of Giza. So it wasn't a bad complaint. And yeah, the trip got delayed a bit, lost about...
And while we were also at the pyramids, we saw an unbelievable air show. There was
really?
What we were told was like there was some of the Air Force massive Air Force graduation.
Wow, in Egypt.
And the President Sisi was.
He was there.
Yeah, he was there like a kilometer or two away.
Wow.
And there were like maybe 10 jets flying in like in symmetry and with all the colours coming out.
I've never seen a show.
It was unbelievable.
Neither did I until there, and I was well impressed.
Nice.
It was amazing, like flying through the pyramids, doing like maneuvers and upside down and everything. It was class.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you watch Top Gun?
Not the new one.
Really?
I've heard great things.
It's insane.
We've been traveling kind of,
I think it was out just before we left.
Yeah.
No time.
I was just saying last week, I think Hollywood is starting to pick up their action game. Because I think I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan, and I think it ruined action movies. They're horrible in action. And then, you don't agree?
Oh, no, I agree.
Okay. And then...
Driving out a plane?
And then,
It's crazy.
and then, man, there was one part where Vin Diesel broke the asphalt with his... Just kicking it down when he was fighting Jason Statham.
Wallah?
Fast and Furious 5 or 6. But anyways, I think they
Is
started
that not
picking
how it
up the
really
game.
works in real life?
and the line was the cheesiest line ever. He's like, the thing in a street fight the street always wins.
Oh.
It's the cheesiest thing ever. I think they're picking up the game again.
Okay.
Top Gun, I watched it and I was shocked because it's old school good. You know how new movies are either comedian movies or movies that has a deep meaning, a true story, blah, blah, blah. There's this middle... Did you watch Blue Streak?
Oh,
You didn't watch Blue Streak?
one of the best movies.
Been living under.
Did you watch Bad Boys?
Bad
Yes.
Boys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bad
yeah,
Boys is a
yeah.
good movie that has no point. It's just a good movie.
Yeah,
They don't make those
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Top Gun is one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Marvel movies?
I love Marvel movies, but they're their own thing.
Okay.
I'm a huge Marvel fan.
Thought it might be controversial there. Yeah. So every cloud has a silver lining. So we had that issue. The only issues we actually had on the trip to date have been 2 visa issues. So that was the first, the Sudanese one. The second one was the Iranian one. So as I said, we did our research on that, and it said if you apply through a local agent, you have a way higher chance of getting the visa approved. So we applied for that on the 2nd of June. The first agent we wrote to said a new piece of legislation came in that put Ireland on the naughty list, as we call it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the naughty list includes the USA, the UK, and Canada. And now Ireland.
Ireland now.
Yeah. So we feel like we're like Canada. Just because we're beside the UK, we got put on the naughty list. And just because Canada are beside the US, they're on the naughty list.
It doesn't make sense. You and Canada don't make sense.
Yeah.
Absolute zero sense.
We've no army. We're not in NATO. We feel like we've never done anything to Iran.
We've never fought anyone.
Yeah. just ourselves, maybe.
That's crazy.
So we didn't believe this agent.
He texted me thereafter. I was like, he's like, they're after bringing in this rule. They're after bringing in this rule that we have to have a guide and submit a resume and wait like 2 months to get a visa. And I was like, no, they're just the agency are trying to rinse you for money. Like they're lying.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like, there's Facebook groups for people like us who are like looking to travel across continents and stuff like that. So there's a Facebook group called Overlanding in Iran. So that's where I researched this travel agency, and I seen a few people mention and give positive reviews about them. So I said, here guys, this agent is telling us that we now need to pay for a guide to follow us around Iran, and we need this letter of invitation to actually get into Iran, and we basically need to follow the same rules as the UK and the US. And they were like, yeah, never heard of it. So we started emailing all these other agencies, and they said same. So
it's like they were reading off the same script.
yeah.
Okay.
We were like,
we
oh,
asked
this
for
isn't
email
good.
proof.
None.
And they said, no, they can't share it. So like, this is why we didn't believe them, you know?
It sounds sketchy.
Yeah, it
it
sounded
is.
sketchy.
Exactly.
So none of them were willing to help us. They all said we had to follow this new process. So we said, here, we're going to do it ourselves and apply for ourselves and take our chance.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, we apply. Philip gets approved. I don't get approved.
Yeah.
It's always you, huh?
So we lost days trying to get it approved in Ankara, so going to the embassy there, going to the embassy in Tbilisi, where we actually thought we were going to get it, because another guy kind of really tried to help us there, but it fell through. And then in Yerevan in Armenia.
Yeah, we were constantly just trying to get in front of a consulate or someone who could like pull a few strings.
But no one would.
We were just hitting a brick wall. It was just like the faceless man. Just couldn't get in front of anyone who actually had power to make something happen.
Yeah, so the embassies don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
After this naughty list thing? Or generally?
Just generally,
Okay.
yeah.
They all just seem to operate like silos.
Yeah.
It's just like silo mentality. None of them know what the other's doing or the policies of the other places. It's just
So they'd be like in Tbilisi, they're like, or in Ankara, they're like, maybe try Tbilisi, you know, and then in Tbilisi, like, maybe the consulate in Armenia might be able to help.
And those are not neighborhoods; those are countries.
Yeah, countries, like they're different.
So, yeah, we lost days trying to get that. And again, we eventually gave up on that.
Yeah, he'd been rejected about 5 times at this stage. So I don't think David's ever getting into Iran. He's like on the blacklist now.
Eventually, actually, they don't have to give you a reason for rejecting.
Interesting.
I think everywhere.
La, everywhere?
The US doesn't tell you why you get rejected.
I think if you were missing a document, they would point out that you're missing this document.
Yeah, but if you get rejected with
I
visa,
think...
I don't think they tell you.
Yeah,
it's a security thing, you know.
Oh, maybe we've never had to face that because our passport's quite strong that you just show up and you get that. So just rejected, and eventually I think on the fourth or even the fifth rejection, it actually just said you need to apply through an agent and follow a process.
Probably some poor guy in
maybe they were sick of me applying.
Probably some poor guy in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Iran just like, this guy again. He is not getting in.
I don't read my wife's name this much.
This goddamn Irish guy.
So lost more time there. That's the only two issues we've had.
But it was a major issue because Iran was like the land bridge in order for us to get to Africa. Because if we couldn't get through Iran, it was one of the key countries. If we couldn't get, we knew we could get into Kuwait, we knew Saudi, we knew Sudan because we had the visa already. But it was just Iran. And if we didn't get into Iran, we were kind of screwed. Because we had, in our earlier research, we had realized that you actually can't, we were told you can't get through Iraq. So if you go from Turkey into Iraq, Iraq is kind of at the minute two states. You have Iraq Kurdistan and Federal Iraq, although Federal Iraq doesn't really recognize Iraq Kurdistan. It's kind of complicated. We were told essentially if you go from Turkey into Iraq Kurdistan, they stamp you. But the stamp is an Iraq Kurdistan stamp. And then if you try to go down into Federal Iraq, so from Erbil to say Baghdad, they'll stop you at the domestic border. The domestic border is just like an army checkpoint. But we were told that you go there, they'll just turn you around. So like what do you do? Because how do you get a stamp for Federal Iraq? And then someone had posted up on, again, these overlanding forums on Facebook, really good resources, had said, we had tried to fly from Erbil to Baghdad and get a visa on arrival in Baghdad airport, but that didn't work. And they also said, your import documentation on your bike won't be accepted and all this stuff. But we hadn't heard, like they had said, I think it was that guy said he tried it 3 times. Okay. Yeah, Totti had said 3 times he tried it and it didn't work. But then we were like frantically posting questions into all these forums, like people like, has anybody actually made this work? Yeah. And then someone mentioned, a Spanish and Brazilian couple did it 2 months ago, but they didn't tag them. They just said it. We're like, who are these? Then another person said, an Australian couple also did it. So then we're trying to find out who, like we're messaging people, like who are these people who've made this work. And we got in touch with the Spanish and Brazilian couple. They sent us a little bit of info over like Facebook and stuff, but they didn't have probably really good English, so couldn't explain exactly how it worked.
Okay.
And like when you get to, say, Erbil airport, will they actually let you onto the plane if you don't have a visa for Federal Iraq? Will they stop you because, say, your import permit for your bike is tied to your passport and they think you're trying to leave the country with your bike left there? All this legal just regulations, all these stresses. And then eventually we got in touch with the Australian couple and they were really, really good. The Pack Track is their handle on Instagram. They had a 40-minute FaceTime call with me and explained everything. It's funny, actually. Stu, he actually has an Irish passport. He's Australian, but has an Irish passport. Yeah. His grandfather or something is Irish, so he's like, I'll get the EU passport.
Okay.
But they explained, it all worked perfectly. So we were like, this is
option 1.
Yes.
Option 2 and 3.
Option 2, Russia.
Russia had just opened up its borders again.
On the 15th of July.
He just said it's the most complicated visa.
Yes.
So,
we were stuck though. And we, researched all options. And so we got talking to a guy that had planned to cross the border into Russia on July 15th.
An Italian guy.
Who got help from a guy in the Netherlands who is an expert into this. Now, you probably know a bit more information on that.
So he had reached out to a guy. It's like all this cross around the world, like reaching out to people you've never met, like absolutely on a wing and a prayer, as we say back home, like completely chancing your arm. And he had got in in touch with an expert on like Russian immigration in the Netherlands who would set him up with a visa.
Whoa.
And we reached out to this guy, and he was like, well, you need to do this, this, and this. And it was about 900 hoops we had to jump through. We had to be back in Ireland to collect the visas in person. It was going to take like 10 days to process it. So it was a lot of wasted time, a lot of added expense. And it was only one single entry. And to do the trip east, you need a multiple entry because you're going to go in and out of Russia a few times. Because again, Russia is like a key land bridge. To get from Kazakhstan to Mongolia, you can't just go between the two.
You have to pass by.
If you look on the world map, you think they're right beside each other, but you actually have to go like just into Russia a little bit to go back. Little things like that.
Or into China a little bit to go back. But
Yeah. You can't.
I've been to Kazakhstan.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've been to Kazakhstan.
What part?
Amazing. Went to Almaty.
Almaty, yeah.
And then they took us around in different villages, small villages.
Okay.
And we stayed, like each village had a mayor, and he would receive us, and they'd do a show.
Did
and then
you
we'd stay in the
get
tent.
the camel milk?
I drank the camel milk, but we drink that over here.
Oh, do you?
But then I drank horse milk. I made sure it's milk.
Fermented.
Fermented. And I made sure it's milk. And man, I never went to the bathroom like that day again. I went to a bathroom that's not really a bathroom. You know, the bathroom that they built.
Yep.
And I went
hole
there.
in the ground sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We're used to that over here. We call it actually Arabian bathroom, Arabic
okay.
bathroom.
Okay.
I love it. But as I was squatting, my phone decided to take a dive.
Nice.
Oh my God.
And then we had
Nice.
two guys from the army as an escort. I don't know why. One of the guides, his father was a big deal, so he would send with him a military escort just in case. And they actually dug down and brought me my phone.
No.
But they didn't clean it. They're like, you'll clean it. And
course.
I cleaned my phone from all the shit that was in it.
Nice.
So literally, yeah. But Kazakhstan was amazing, nevertheless, yeah.
That's interesting because that's what happened to Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman. Remember, they got all the escorts from town to town.
Yeah, that's because they didn't trust media, and they had like special visas and stuff to be.
Yeah.
No, they're
just
extra kind. They're very, very kind and very peaceful.
Yeah.
The only thing that I suffered from, which is a good thing, they're extra generous. And man, you cannot eat their food.
Why?
I survived for 4 days on pancakes. I'm not even joking. I hated pancakes after that. Their food is very traditional. And then they have this tradition where the leader of the tribe would take the head of the goat.
Oh, no.
And then depending on what he sees in you, I never told you this. Depending on what he sees in you, he gives you a piece.
What?
So I'm not even joking. If he gives you the tongue, it means that you talk a lot and you shouldn't talk a lot. I'm not even joking. If he gives you the ear, it means that you're a good listener. If he gives you the nose, then you probably smell bad. I don't know. But they have these weird traditions and you can't refuse them. I ate an eyelash. Not eyelash. Eyelid.
Eyeball.
An eyelid.
Oh, an eyelid.
An eyelid.
Why?
I have no idea.
Did you ask?
Maybe I was looking way too much. And it was bad. It was really bad. And then it's a whole feast every time you want to eat. So every time you want to eat, it's 12 dishes, and each dish, there are 5 plates of it. And then the food would end up, we'll just be eating 1 plate. So we reached the point of actually talking to them and telling them, yo, guys, this is too much and it's getting to waste. So just stop doing it. And they took offense to it.
Okay.
But they allowed us because we were guests.
Wow.
That's the only thing that I suffered in Kazakhstan. But other than that, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. I can't wait till they have a generation that speaks English. It's going to be insane. Going back to it. So Russia.
Yeah.
So it was complicated to get the visa. Long story
Complicated,
short.
and you had to be in and out of there within 60 days, which meant we just had to rush kind of everything.
6 or 60?
60.
Okay.
Was it 60 or 30?
It was a 30-day visa.
30 day, there you go.
So we wanted to get to Mongolia because we were never going to get to Magadan, because basically from like the first week in September you start to get into minus because you're in Siberia. So they have a very, very, very short summer. So you'll, like, if you were second week in September, it's already nearly autumn. It's starting to turn from green to you could be into snow already. So just you're not going to do that on the bikes.
Yeah, we did the maths as well, and it was like averaging nearly 400k a day, every day.
Every day. So
Driving for the 30 days. And obviously, if you want to see countries and experience cultures and history and see things like,
you want to have a rest day, like, and stop and, you know, spend time with a family or just relax. You can't. We couldn't do it. So it was nonsensical to go into Russia.
Yeah. Option 3 then was drive all the way back to Greece from Georgia and get a ferry from Greece to Egypt and then go down through Africa from there. And we weren't doing that. We weren't driving back 5,000 k the way we came already. So
there was a fourth option. The fourth option was a ferry from Turkey to Lebanon, and then you transit through Syria into Jordan into Saudi, and then down to Jeddah. But there's an issue getting a Syrian visa. I was just about to say. Some of our family weren't really happy with us going through Syria. It's only about 170k, and seemingly it's safe. It's like a safe trade passage route, but it takes like 3 weeks to process the visa, so that was kind of a no-go. So
we ended up going through Iraq.
Yeah.
And did the little hack that the pack track told us. So we arrived into Kurdistan, Iraq. Stayed in a town called QazaQ first, and then we drove to Erbil the next day. Met a local biker group in Erbil. Erbil bikers.
They're part of the bigger organization Iraq Bikers, which is about 1,000 members.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Harley.
And they love their bikes. Oh, Harleys, everything. I suppose. Gold Wings,
Oh, okay.
Absolutely everything.
And the way they bring their bikes into Iraq is they buy them in parts. Well, they buy the bike, but they have to
deassemble it.
Yes, ship them in parts.
You're kidding.
And reassemble them.
No way.
And they all have like the original plates. So it would be like a plate from like Munich, Germany. There was like one from Texas, because they've no registration system in Iraq for motorbikes because it's such a new thing.
Wow.
So all these dudes are like driving around and like bikes from all around the world.
Wow.
Some of them have like 7, 8, 9, 10 bikes.
That's
like they're really, really
Yeah.
passionate.
They have in Germany, they have a contact that does all the work for them. So if they want a bike, he'll go buy it for them on their behalf. Deassemble it, ship it across.
This is a huge business in cars in Saudi as well. If you want to import cars from the US, lately it's been huge. So a person would go and buy the car that you want and then ship it to Saudi.
You don't have to reassemble it.
They don't have to reassemble it. Yes, thank God.
But they took us out for the night. Really kind, really generous. Sarman spent nearly half a day with us.
He took like a half day from work, came to me to make sure, like when we first came to Erbil, that like we were okay, and it was amazing.
Yeah. So after that, then we woke up the next morning, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Flew to Baghdad.
Yes, we were out till about 12.
Yeah.
So they meet up every evening. Like they have like their own little cafe. There's just like all bikes on show. New bikes arriving.
Wow.
Like,
that's a culture.
Nice.
It's a proper culture.
And every day they say they meet up. So we were shocked. Yeah.
I would say we have a huge bike followers over here.
Okay.
A huge bike following over here. We had a very weird law a couple of years ago, which I never understood why. There was 1 week of policemen just taking every bike they can take. I'm not even joking. If they see you on a bike, they're taking the bike. But then after that, everything was smooth again.
They don't like small bikes, we were told.
I think so.
If they're small bikes, they'll take the small bikes, but big bikes they leave alone.
A friend of mine who has a Harley, he's the guy that does our lighting and stuff. He's a partner of ours. He also goes to Camel Square. So they ride every Friday, and they're a good group. And then I know that BMWs has a group on its own as well. And then I think Ninjas are huge over here, like the racing bikes, sports bikes. Yeah. They're huge over here in Kuwait as well. In Kuwait, they're huge. There's a couple of very powerful bikers in Kuwait and UAE. I would say over here as well.
Okay.
It's growing,
You always see that in small communities, though. They're often really tight because there's not so many, so they really look after each other. And actually, everywhere you drive in the world, bikers will always, when you're driving by, will always like wave at each other.
He told me that.
what do you guys do? Like when you see another bike?
Different countries do different things.
Yeah.
So in Ireland, you'll see some bikers will put up the hand, but a lot will just put out the left foot.
Oh, left foot.
Because you never. Yes, we drive on the. We drive on the left side. Which side of the road do we drive on?
They put out the right foot in Ireland. So the left.
Yeah,
foot.
sorry, because we drive on the left side of the road.
Yeah, like
You'd put out your foot.
You drive like the UK?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so the wrong side of the road.
Yeah.
Yes. So in Ireland, we often just put out the foot.
That's it.
Yeah, because you don't want to you don't take your hands off the controls. But
in the US is different.
I think in
US you just leave your hand hanging out like this. No, just
or just lazy
piece.
okay.
Lazy piece. You know.
Yeah.
That's it. It's cool. I don't know. I like it.
In Georgia and Armenia, especially in Georgia, it's proper peace sign.
Oh, like this?
It's real peace sign.
I think it's the same in
yeah,
US.
they do it in a way, anyway, whatever way they put their hands, they do it in a way that it looks like full-on peace.
Oh, okay. No, the Americans does it like this. I don't know why.
He had the bike.
Yeah, so,
okay.
yeah. But I used to have a Harley Davidson one.
Nice.
Sportster. Do you know anything about Harley Davidson?
I don't.
Sportster. I think one of the guys in Erbil Bikers had one.
Yeah, it's an old bike. It's a 2007 bike.
Okay.
I bought it for cheap. Before that, I had a naked bike.
Oh, okay.
So it's a transition from
Yes.
naked bike to Harley Davidson.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, really, really big transition.
What's a naked bike?
I don't know how to explain it. Can you explain it, the naked bike?
Is a naked bike like a...
Street bike?
Yeah, it's like a Duke. Duke could be a naked
Yeah.
bike.
It's kind of like a
Sahrawi?
sport. No. You know the sport bike you hinge with it? Naked bike you just stand straight.
It's
And there's no proper cover.
Batta?
No.
a street bike. Is
Street. They call it street bike.
kind of like an enduro bike, but with street tires and
Street tires,
for like
yeah.
wheeling and
Yeah.
It's like a scrambler, but
Oh, okay.
More-
Oh, yeah,
Okay, that's a good. That's,
like a dirt bike, but more for
For
streets.
street bike. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So after Iraq,
Yes, we flew to Baghdad. So 4:00 flight, flew to Baghdad.
Yeah.
Got our visas.
The,
In
tell them
45
about the
minutes.
security. Never seen
Yeah.
anything like it.
In Iraq?
Baghdad
at the
airport.
So Erbil, you have an inner part of the airport, an outer section. Inner section, outer section.
okay.
So you arrive at the airport in a taxi on the outer section. Every car gets stopped and checked.
You're about 5k from the airport.
5K.
We have a 5k cordon around the airport.
So sniffer dogs, the taxi man has to open up the boot. Some people got their bags kind of quickly checked. So that's check number one. Check number two then is the bridge between the outer section and the inner section.
It's like a bus terminal.
Yeah. So you put your bags through your airport scanners, your typical airport scanners. So that's check number two. Then you get a bus, so no more cars beyond this point.
Okay.
So a bus brings you to the intersection then. And there you get checked as you go in. So that's check number three.
Wow.
Then you actually check in.
So that's number 4.
Wow.
Sorry, no check-in at check-in.
Luggage?
But then after check-in, then like a normal airport, then check number 4.
Wow.
You fly to Baghdad, you get off the plane, you get checked getting off the plane.
What?
Check number 5.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So then we checked in for the flight back to Erbil. So again, your normal check. That was check number 6.
Whoa.
Uh,
It's crazy.
and then you get checked getting off the flight in
No
Erbil. So
way.
7 checks from 2 flights.
Wow.
And taxi home or taxi back to the hotel just in time for breakfast at 10 a.m.
But
Yeah,
just at the airport. So when we were at the airport checking into the Erbil flight, we actually had an issue in that we had booked it online through Skyscanner, through like one of the agencies. We get to check in, and I give my ticket number, and the man working at the desk is like, "Oh, you're not on this flight." I was like, "What do you mean we're not on this flight? It's like 3:00 in the morning." We're like, "What do you mean we're not on this flight? I've got my booking confirmation." He was like, "Oh yeah, that's wrong. This happens a lot."
What?
I was like, "What? It doesn't
It's not my
happen."
business.
Yeah, I was like, "It's just a direct flight. It's not even complicated." And he was like, "Yeah, you're not in our system." So we were like, "Oh no, does that mean we can't get this flight?" And we were able to, thankfully we were actually able to get onto the flight. He was able to book us on, we had to pay a bit more and it was fine. But then the next question came was, oh, do you have a visa for federal Iraq? And we were like, no, we can get visa on arrival. And he kind of looks at us going, I was like, is he about to say we can't get on this flight? And then he was like, can I see your passport? And we were like, oh, no, please don't turn us around. And thankfully he said, oh, yeah, okay. I like kind of had to say we're EU citizens. It's visa on arrival in Iraq. And we're going from Iraq, Kurdistan to federal Iraq. So technically we're leaving the country so we can get a visa. And he eventually was like, he was fine with it. But I was nervous there for a few seconds.
Definitely.
Yes, so obviously went through with the Iraq option. So the next day then, we left Erbil, started driving down to the border crossing with federal Iraq. Kind of a little bit nervous to see what would happen. So we get to that point where you leave Kurdistan, Iraq and go into federal Iraq. No issues. But that was checkpoint number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was. Do you remember? So he had his GoPro on his helmet.
Oh, that was further wrong, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, checkpoint 1. 20k later, checkpoint 2. Every checkpoint we have to stop. We have to get off the bikes. We have to show our passports. They take it into an office. Someone inspects it to make sure it's not fake. And then if they're happy enough with it, they come out, give us back our passport.
And these checkpoints now, these guys are kitted out, like full army gear, magazined up. One guy, like a few guys had bayonet knives, like headsets for like night vision gear, balaclavas on, 50 cals, like 2 or 3 50 cals on each side of the road, like proper military checkpoints.
Scary.
So I think checkpoint number 3 came, and to be honest, actually, I turned on my GoPro.
Okay.
Just for the memories, to kind of like and show people back home what the checkpoints look like and that. But I did turn it off just before we got to the checkpoint, so no one would see it because
You did turn it off.
I did turn it off. Okay. But we were off the bikes, chatting away. They're actually also friendly. Always giving us water,
Yes,
giving us
super nice
fruit, watermelons.
Which guys are these?
The Iraqi army.
The Iraqi
They treat
army,
like royalty every
They
time.
give you watermelon?
Yeah,
melon, watermelon.
They'd get free stuff off the people on the trucks or anyone passing by. So they'd get free water,
No
free
way.
watermelon.
Where they're chatting to the army guys, and like a truck comes by and another guy's like checking, just hands them out a watermelon as if like this is just like a normal thing. Watermelon. And there's a big pile of watermelon just on the side.
We've a feeling they just give them that so they can get through the checkpoint faster.
That's what I thought.
100%. Yeah, so
crazy.
just the hand just comes out. So the boys are getting all this free stuff, and then they were just here, take this, you know. So so we were sitting around waiting, and next thing, your man, one of the army guys,
Just
cops
wants
my GoPro, and he, camera, GoPro. So I had to take it off. They started searching your bag.
Searching my bags, found my DSLR in the top tank bag, which is like normal. And he was like, oh, camera again. They start freaking out.
So they took both cameras into the office, and you went in with them. So they
Yeah, I went in. I was like showing him. He wanted to like look through all the photos, etc. I don't
Did
know.
you actually?
Yeah, look through everything. It was fine.
I don't think they were able to work the GoPro, so I got lucky.
Yeah, like I guess I don't know. Are they sensitive? I don't know what they were sensitive about. It could be any number of things. Yeah. Like you're not too far away from, you're kind of in that region where it's not too far from the main road going west towards Syria. So that's obviously where ISIS came down from before, sort of really sensitive around that area. And then maybe also the fact we were coming from Kurdistan, they're a little bit sensitive about that. So yeah.
Yeah. And then
They were fine. Once the top guy had checked everything, it was okay.
And then it was time for photos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, every checkpoint we had to get photos of every single one of them. They had to get their hats right. They had to like check themselves out in the mirror.
That's amazing.
Like every
That's nice.
like
The mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the Iraqi mustache.
Hey, every Iraqi guy has a huge mustache.
Oh, we have one with a perfect mustache.
Oh, this guy was like
I think I saw him,
Similar.
but that guy wasn't on Vikings.
No.
This guy was okay.
So yeah, really nice, really chill. Everyone was so nice there. The first question we nearly got asked as well by every Iraqi: YouTube channel. YouTube channel.
Makes
what do you
sense.
mean? Like what?
Sorry.
What do you mean?
They thought they were YouTubers.
Oh.
Yeah, so YouTube channel, and I'm like, no YouTube channel, and they'd be like, TikTok. No TikTok. So actually, down in the south of Iraq, in Basra, we got this question anyway. In Basra hotel, so YouTube channel, TikTok, and then I was like, oh no, Instagram. He goes, oh, Instagram. So he's like, what's your name? So I put it into his phone, and we only had 400 followers at the time. So he goes, only 400 followers.
Expected like
As if it's shame.
The way he looked at it, he looked at us like we were dirt on his shoe. Only 400 followers.
So he didn't want to know us nearly.
That's it.
Yeah, so I was
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah, we're not celebrities. We're just normal people. So I found it quite funny. Like, just the kindness of people in Iraq was amazing. Like,
Nice.
we thought, maybe the Iraqi army might be quite intimidating, might be quite serious, obviously, with the situation they're in, but
Yeah,
really
the
friendly people.
roads. One thing I did notice, and it's a sad point, is that from say Erbil to Baghdad, it's predominantly desert, but any building that is there has just been a lot of buildings have been destroyed.
Wow.
Obviously, from missile strikes from the war that happened. It's pretty sad.
And probably the issue with plastic.
Yeah, and a lot of rubbish.
The issue with plastic.
Oh.
A lot of rubbish.
A lot of rubbish. But one of the roads are all undergoing massive work. But one of the funny things was, and at one stage, so they drive. Obviously, you drive on the right hand side of the road, but often we'd be transitioning because they kind of had two. They had a new road being built. Sometimes it was on the left, sometimes it was on the right, and you would like be transitioning from like new road, old road, new road. And there was one stage where I had passed out, so we can kind of hit gaps in traffic, so we can overtake really quick. We can go off the road if we want to, like off-road into the desert to pass out a big traffic jam or whatever. So I had revved up and passed out a load of lorries that had backed up. So I was kind of by myself going on ahead of like a big traffic jam behind me. And I'm going along this road and I'm like, then I see a car coming at me and I'm like, oh, he's on the wrong side of the road. And I keep driving and another one and another one and another one. Next thing, there's loads of them coming at me, and I'm like flashing them all, like, get out of my, get off the road. Then I see like 4 or 5 cars pass me out on the other side, on a different road over here, and I'm like, oh crap.
You're in the wrong.
I'm completely on the wrong side of the road.
On that note, I have a friend of mine, not this guy. One friend of mine that I'm not going to say his name. He entered the female's bathroom 3 days ago. So it's this guy. So I'm sitting waiting for him at the cinema, and he texts me. He's like, yo, there are females in the bathroom. And I'm like, for real? And he's like, yes, there are females in the bathroom. I don't know why. And I look, it's the female's bathroom. And I go,
check the sign. You know?
Thank God the security lady was there. And I'm like, I'm really sorry for this very odd request, but my friend is inside there and I need you to get him out.
It was like, yo, come help me, you know?
So you just locked yourself in the cubicle.
Yeah. I heard this
SOS.
lady talking, you know, on the phone. It's like, oh shit.
You start like lighting a fire in there as an SOS signal.
And he was planning to go out and shout, and hey, this is a men's bathroom.
Yeah, I was like, what?
It's like you flashing them. So, okay.
Yeah.
So that was Iraq.
The hotel. Hotel.
Yeah, tell us
So in Baghdad, after driving pretty much from
all
about
day.
8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Now, we were just really, really tired that day because of the heat, first and foremost. That was the first really hot day we'd experienced. And then all the checkpoints. Because we drive 20k, stop for 10 minutes, drive 20k, stop for 10
We
minutes.
ask the exact same questions. No, it's not a bad thing. It's just it's tiring. Like
It's
you're
tiring,
asked,
definitely.
where are you from? Where are you going? And like they were all really nice to us, so we wanted to be in like good form and like full of energy with them and like just have a good time.
understand.
But it gets tiring.
Definitely.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, we arrive, drive into Baghdad. We'd no hotel booked, so random street. We seen a hotel. Oh no, we stopped. Just randomly, we stopped. And then I was talking to a guy in a phone shop, actually trying to get a SIM card in. for Iraq. Can't do that anyway. You need an Iraqi passport, so someone needs to sacrifice their Iraqi passport to get you a SIM card. So we didn't. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but in the meantime, Philip went across the road to test out a hotel,
which was fine, but the parking. So I don't know what it seems to be much safer here. And when I say here, I mean like the Middle East. In that, if you leave a motorbike out in the street in Ireland, especially a motorbike like ours, that's like, you know, really fun to rally through fields, and it'll be robbed, it'll be gone. You leave that out in the street, it is gone at night. It's not just like, home's not dangerous, it's just parts, they'll break it up for parts, sell it, and they're really sophisticated at robbing stuff at home. So I'm really sketchy about leaving the bike out in the street anywhere we go. I'm like, so I was like, no, we can't. The parking was around in some like Dodge like corner in the middle of Baghdad. I was like, not a chance. So we left there, and we're like just driving around randomly trying to find a hotel in Baghdad. Not a clue where we're going. And the guy is like, some guy in a scooter is trying to talk to us in the middle of the street in the traffic, and it's all mad. And we pull over to the side and we ask him, here, can you recommend a hotel? And he's like, oh yeah, Hotel Babylon. I'm like, oh yeah, but how much is it? Like, we don't want to spend any more, you know, like $100. And he's like, it's about 120. So we're like, fine. We'll go there. And so I asked him, what way is it? And he goes, this way. But don't go there. Turn around here. Police there. You get in trouble. I'm like, why would we get in trouble? So I just follow Google, just head off, and I'm heading straight into like, and I see this. These were extra special looking guys in military gear. They're blacked out. They have like skull symbols and all different insignia on their kit. Turns out they're actually Iraqi special forces.
Wow.
So these were the guys that were like trained by US special forces. These were the guys that were on the like front line against ISIS in Mosul. And
Navy SEALs of Iraq.
yeah.
Okay.
And really serious. These guys look like they would kill you with their bare hands. And they're like, passport. I'm like, oh no, here we go now. It turns out we were actually trying to get into the green zone.
Okay.
Green
So
zone, what that
where
mean?
all the ministry buildings are.
all the embassies, government buildings in Baghdad, it's like a safe area. So they have like really strict security so that there can't be any bombs or whatnot. And you have to have a special pass to get in. So this is what that guy had mentioned.
We have a neighborhood like that in the capital in Riyadh.
Okay,
Yeah, we have a neighborhood like that.
And so yeah, once they checked the passports though, it was photos all around. It was like a massive photo session.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
But we had this other guy who came up then, and just a normal street goer, just passerby on a scooter, and he started taking photos with us, and he said, oh, he knows the way to Hotel Babylon.
So they instructed him to bring us.
Yeah, but his scooter wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It broke down twice along the way, but we'll skip beyond that. We got to Hotel Babylon.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 security guards at the gates.
It was all fenced. It was in a compound.
So they asked, did we have a room booked? And we said no. And we asked, could we book one? And they said yeah. So they opened the gates down through a tunnel underground. Infrared sensors, radar sensors.
Wow.
Yeah, this was like Back to the Future.
4 more security guards, maybe
Seriously?
even 5, 6. Had to get off the bikes. We had to leave everything on the bikes. Sniffer dogs.
Stand back from the bikes.
Stand back from the bikes, yeah. Sniffer dogs came, passed that test, got up over the hill, a few more security guards, went into the underground parking, took off our bags. In the meanwhile, we got talking to one of the guards.
Yeah, so I had noticed that kind of half the guards were like look local, like Iraqis, and the others look kind of Asian. And I'd asked, oh, where are you from? To just one of the Asian-looking guys, and he said Nepal. I was like, oh, these are all Nepali Gurkhas. So the Gurkha units are like a revered unit in the British, and I think they have them in the Indian military as well.
Okay.
But it goes back to like the early 19th century.
Okay.
That the British had units completely from Nepal. And they're like known for throughout battles in Afghanistan, and when Britain invaded Afghanistan in the 19th century, they're known for their bravery, toughness. They're revered, and often when they leave the Gurkha units, they go to work as private contractors, security contractors. So they had an Iraqi team and a Gurkha team, and I was like, we kind of looked at each other like, oh, this place is not going to be $120 because like these guys aren't cheap to pay these guys. And so we park in the car park, and then to get into the hotel, it was like a really sophisticated security scanner. We weren't allowed to bring our motorbike helmets in. We had to leave them to the side. And we eventually got through into the hotel, and there's a Nepali Gurkha guy there. He's like security around the reception. He is just looking at us. We're completely filthy, like really dirtier than I am now. Like really dirty, like faces covered in dust and soot. Like I'm like red like a tomato from the heat, just covered in sweat. And he is just looking at us like, what are these like plebeians doing here? Because it was quite a high-end hotel. And we're told at reception, oh yeah, it's $160, and we're like, okay.
Well, we actually, when we saw the amount of security, we're like, this isn't going to be cheap. So we said, we're tired. We said, look, we'll break the budget big time for this one. We set a maximum limit of 250 US. And then when she said 160 US, we were like,
we'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah. So, booked the room, had dinner there. Meanwhile, the head of security came to meet us.
He was a biker.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a little bit of interrogation, like it was him, testing us out. But it turns out he was a biker and just wanted to know about the trip.
Quite an interesting life. He'd lived all around Africa, always in security. He'd grown up in Zimbabwe. Just a really interesting guy. He worked in Sudan, worked in quite dangerous places. I think he'd worked in Congo as well. And he'd been working in Baghdad now for the last few years. But really interesting guy.
But Hotel Babylon got bombed twice.
Yes.
And he came in to kind of shore up the ship.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he brought in the team of Gurkhas, and he kind of led all that.
So that's why they had so
changes.
much security.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he actually, we knew nothing about Hotel Babylon, but seemingly it's quite famous in Iraq. Yeah, you know about it. Yeah, so Saddam Hussein's old haunt, and seemingly he had a nightclub and a casino on the ground over there. So
تحت الهوتيل.
yeah, so it was turned out then the next day when we went to check out,
How much was the hotel?
How much?
I was paying the invoice, and we were under pressure to get going because we had to get all the way to Basra.
160.
No way.
No.
How much?
Add another two.
Huh?
It's $360 for the night.
What?
yeah.
Well,
Why? They told you it was 160.
I don't know.
Miscommunication. Breakdown in communication.
So we were fuming, but anyway, we paid and left.
What?
But our first impression when we were entering was right.
Yeah, for people trying to live on a budget.
Yeah.
360.
So now it made sense when the guy at reception, the kind of security guy, was looking at us like these guys won't be able to afford this place.
makes sense.
These homeless Irish guys coming in here.
And now you're in the Jeddah Lake Hotel.
Yeah. It sounds fancy. No?
It is. I said, yeah.
When you
sounds
said,
fancy.
we were laughing when you sent me. You were like, "We're at the Jeddah Lake Hotel." I'm like, he thinks we know that. and then after that, you came here
Kuwait.
after issuing the visa and then going to Kuwait.
Kuwait,
Okay.
and then we got stuck with the Sudan visa issue.
Yeah, so-
How was the security issue in Kuwait?
How was the security issue? Fine. It's actually. Do you want to talk about the border crossing?
I won't go into it in detail, but it was hilarious. They were trying to get a few quid out of us at the border.
Okay.
Yeah, the Iraqi side were trying to. And that was the only issue we had. Like, everyone was really legit the whole way through every single country we've passed through. We haven't had any problems, which I just can't believe.
Amazing.
Yeah, but we did at the Iraqi border. There was guys like trying to get money out of us. The money it was like it'd be like €10, then it'd be €20 and €30. And we were outright just refusing to give them money. And I was actually kind of getting angry, but I wasn't really angry at this stage. But I was kind of throwing a tantrum. I was like trying to shake them up a little bit. So I was like, no, you do your job. And like they couldn't understand. I was like, you do your effing job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whereas
it's-
I'm the more take the peaceful means.
Yeah,
And
I
just
understand.
I can see that.
Philip, just don't annoy them because they could get a power trip if they see you getting
I think because you
annoyed.
look different than them, they automatically think that you have money.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Oh
so.
yeah. Oh, and like we could afford that, but we were just like, we're not paying.
But yeah,
any
it's
price.
not,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
why
money
you-
in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
just do your job.
We
Yeah.
like the process was so complicated. We had about 6 stamps in the end to get out, and there was this one stamp that we needed to get, and the guy who was like trying to get money out of us went up to the boss in this like it was a porta cabin. And all I hear is like roaring in Arabic out of this door, and the guy coming back to us with like his tail between his legs. I was like, "What is after happening there?" And he goes, "You can try." He's very angry. So I go up to this door. I open up the door, and in there is the boss man, in his like boxers, a t-shirt,
way.
covered in sweat, just covered in sweat. And he's like, I must rest. It's like 2:00 in the day. I'm
Wow.
like, I just started screaming at him, do your job, do your job. With a few extra words thrown in there. And eventually he just slams the door in my face. And I'm like, oh, we're not getting that stamp.
Yeah. So at this stage, we're there about 3.5 hours,
And it's like 50 degrees.
and
Wow.
we had a deadline because I was flying back home to Ireland that night for my brother's wedding. So Philip thought he had a good brainwave to try and drive
Across the border without
across
the
the
stamp.
border without the stamp, and was just going to go drive straight by all the security guards. And I thought this won't go well, so I stayed back. Through your man, €6.
€6 or
€6. I decided, get that stamp there.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we got there, we got
We're
there.
still in confusion. He's still
So I
thinks-
revved the
yeah.
engine, gunning. I was like at this like porta cabin, revving the engine, and they're all like trying to calm me down. I was like,
Fuck off.
do we all like go across this border? So I get down to the border, and I don't think they quite knew what was going on. They looked at my passport. They didn't ask for the stamp, and they were like, "Yeah, on you go." So I could have gone, but I didn't want
I
to.
was
He wasn't
behind.
there, so I didn't want to leave him behind in case they kept him ransom.
So,
But
yeah.
and then they realized, oh, this guy doesn't have the stamp, and then stopped us.
Yeah.
Because I was like revving the engine again down there, like, oh, I'm going. And your man was pointing at his radio. He was like, don't you do that. And I was like, oh, I better not hear. I guess a gun
And
comes out or
there's
something.
quite some tension.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
How was crossing the Saudi border?
easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Easy.
We heard nothing but good things about it, and we experienced. Yeah.
I've never heard anything about the Saudi border.
Yeah.
So efficient.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
efficient.
Kuwait, they're
Nice.
very slow.
Oh,
Kuwait side are very
It
slow.
actually took us 3.5 hours to cross the Kuwait border from the Iraqi border crossing.
Yeah.
And I was getting so annoyed. Not
Now it was his turn to get angry. So I was calm and he was angry.
because time was ticking for me for the
the
flight.
flight.
The flight, yes.
And I was like, there was guys there using computers, and there was like,
look.
and like they were still doing yours, and then mine was still to go after. And I said, how long will this take? And he goes, don't worry, 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I said, yeah. I said, I can't be.
20 minutes
like
to
1
do
hour.
his, and then they had to do mine. And then I thought we were finished. No, you have to go get the vehicles x-rayed. And then after the vehicles get x-rayed, you have to go pay for them. And then
And we were the only people. It wasn't like there was a lot of people at the border.
Yeah.
We were the only people there.
So what if it was crowded, huh?
Oh, carnage.
Oh, man.
Carnage.
Okay. So like, crossing the Saudi border was smooth. And you crossed the Saudi border and then you went to Medina?
So yeah,
Directly?
we
Majma.
crossed from Kuwait. Again, Kuwait took an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Their side, just to let us out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then through Saudi and the Saudi side in a half an hour.
Half an hour, yeah. Really
So
simple.
we drove from there with the plan of going to Riyadh. So we went through Haifa bin
Hafar al-Batn?
Hafar al-Batn.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
On the way down to Riyadh. Been driving. We're up on the road since about 6 a.m. So
Yeah, we're up since about 4:30. because we were trying to get ahead in the heat. We knew the border would take time. So
We did a little playtime there on the desert as well, with the hard sand. But
yeah.
we were driving along, and Philip got the brainwave to go play in the bigger sand dunes.
The inner child just comes out. I saw these big, lovely red sand dunes.
I fully understand.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so boring on this road. Look at those sand dunes. This will be a great idea.
Yeah, so not a 50 degrees heat. But anyway, Philip says, come on, we do it. I reluctantly said yes. Kind of like, as he said, like you feel like you miss out if you don't do it. But I was a bit cautious.
Yeah.
But Philip tore on into the sand. I went into it a bit slow, so I kind of got a little bit stuck. So eventually wiggled my way out of it, kind of overheated the engine though, doing it.
Okay.
So I had to stop and let it cool for a while. All the while Philip was tearing it up on the bigger sand dunes. But go on, you continue now with your side.
Yeah, so I was like getting braver and braver, and I was going up the gears, going a bit faster. I was like, I'll go up this hill. Go up the hill, next thing, see a big steep descent, straight over the hill. I was like, oh, here we go now. I'm going to feel my collarbone crack, or something's going to crack.
Wow.
Landed. I was like, oh, I survived. Kept going. I was like, don't get stuck here. So I went up to the top of another big hill. I was like, oh, this is even bigger than the last one. I better stop up here. So I stopped, and I'm like, loving life. Adrenaline is like flowing. Look back, David's stuck. I was like, what is taking this guy so long?
Yeah.
Then I'm like taking pictures. I like walk back to where I took the jump. I was like, oh, this is all cool. Life is great. And I'm shouting at him to come, and then he starts driving along. I'm like, but don't go over that hill. But he can't really hear me because it was quite windy. So then I try and get onto the bike and try to get going again, but I wasn't pointing downhill. And with a fully loaded bike, so the bikes are, I don't know, the bikes themselves are 160 dry, 180 with fuel, 180 kilos with fuel. With luggage, they're probably 200, 210. And next thing, in first gear, trying to just get a bit of momentum, sinks. I'm like, oh, you have about one go of it now, or this thing is going to be stuck. And it just dug. It was up to like 3/4 of the way up the wheel, completely sunk in, and it is absolutely boiling.
Yeah.
And it's quite windy too. Like the sand was after getting in my helmet, and it was like really blowing at us. I'm like, oh, this is going to be desperate getting this thing out.
So switch back to me.
No
then.
wonder you had a heat stroke.
Oh well,
Yeah,
that's
what time was
that's only the start of it. So I see that he's stuck. So I pulled up on a harder bit of sand and walked over to him. Kind of gave out to each other a little bit. I was like, oh, look where we are now. We're stuck in the middle of the bloody desert in 50 degrees heat, and I'm like, give me some of your water because I'm not using my water.
Yeah, we're not really far. We're about 400 or 500 meters from the
Yeah.
road, so you can see the road, but just about.
Yeah. So help him get the bike out of the sand. So then he drives back to the road. But you stop about 5 to 10 meters away
About
from the road?
5 meters from the road, I stopped, and the sand, I thought the sand, it changed colour, and I thought it was getting more compact, but it wasn't.
So I had to walk back to my bike, got on my bike, drove back, but I kept going. And I looked back, then I was on the road, I looked back.
He wasn't there?
And no, he was. It looked like he was moving, so I just belted it down the road then. 5 minutes of driving down the road, no sign of Philip in my mirror. So I turned back, drove back to where I left him. There was a lorry pulled over, and I see kind of Philip off the bike, kind of talking to the lorry driver.
Philip was sitting down.
Oh, were you sitting down by then?
Philip was sitting down.
Okay.
Philip's world was spinning,
Yeah.
or Bonos Kionas, we'd say, upside down in Irish. Philip was, yeah.
I was struggling still. I hadn't fully recovered from the first part, but we had to go push out this bike anyway.
So I tried to get it out myself, and completely overexerted myself in the heat.
because I remember we gave it one push, the three of us together, and we moved it maybe 5 meters, and then I said we'll take a break.
That was it.
And Philip literally just got down onto his hunkers and like was just didn't say a word, was just breathing. Now I did say, right, we have to give it one more push, I think, and you did get up and we gave it one more push.
Yeah.
But
And I just ran
took
for
out
the truck.
everything.
That was
ran
it.
for the
He
truck.
ran to
I
the
was
truck.
like,
Didn't even ask the truck driver could he get in. He just
just
ran to the
ran
truck.
for the truck, hoping there was AC in there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yeah, really, really like.
And that truck was a what truck?
An ice cream truck.
So I get into the driver's side, and I just literally throw myself onto the dashboard, AC just blowing into my face. And it was an old truck, so it wasn't proper AC. It was like a little fan.
Okay.
It was like just right here. And he just starts pulling out ice creams just out of nowhere. It's like the hand. I just see the hand go back, like an ice cream. I'm like, oh, maybe he's got like a little fridge back there. I'm like, this is great.
Am I in
Gives
the
me
border
no-
of Iraq?
and the sweat is just pouring off me, and my heart rate's probably up like 165, 170.
Wow.
It is absolutely going mad. Just trying to cool myself down, and he just keeps coming with these ice creams, and I'm still just sweating and like completely just like zonked. And the question never really comes into my mind, like, where is he getting? We're on about 4 ice creams or 3 ice creams each at this stage. And then about 20 minutes later, I'm like, right, we need to get going. I can't sit in this truck all day. And he's like, no, you cool down. He's proper, I think he's proper worried about me.
Yeah, he's
And he's from, it turns out we're kind of little bit of Arabic, little bit of English. He's from Yemen.
nice.
And so, yeah, just working over here. And as we're going, he pulls us down to the back of the truck. So we get out of the truck down to the back. He opens up like this side door, and the whole truck is just stacked with ice creams.
Amazing.
He tried to hand us like 3 ice creams each to go on the road.
Amazing.
No.
Literally,
Nice.
and they were melting in his hand. And I'm like, how are you going to eat them on the road? And they're melting already. So
Nice.
we tried to like give him a little bit of
Just
a token gesture of money, like just to say thank you. But I think
€6.
it's not a thing over here in the Middle East. I think like in
Yeah.
Iraq, we tried to do it and like,
Nobody,
said no.
nobody will take, just like it's like a token gesture
I
of our
understand.
gratitude back. It's
Yeah.
not
But
like
I
we're trying
think
to pay them.
I think they might perceive it as you trying to buy their favor.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so we,
Gaffer? Okay. So to wrap it up, sorry, because the cameras.
Oh.
I'm glad the road brought you guys to here, honestly.
Yeah.
And so we get to meet you. How can people find you on Instagram?
Oh, the Biking Irish.
The
it's
Biking Irish.
The Biking Irish,
Okay.
one word. It's a ploy on the term the Fighting Irish.
Ooh.
yeah.
So there's
I
a
heard
little-
McGregor says that one time.
Yes,
Yes.
he did. Yes, so I don't know where it came from, but it's like a little image of this kind of little Irish leprechaun
boxing,
with the
yeah,
boxing
yeah,
gloves,
yeah.
and it's called the Fighting Irish. So we did a play on that.
And that's amazing.
The
Where are you
Biking
guys
Irish.
going after here?
Sudan,
Inshallah.
eventually.
Okay.
Inshallah, to Africa.
And
Nice.
then down through Africa.
That's amazing.
So
That's nice.
originally South Africa, but due to the delays, we have an end time as opposed to an end destination. So we have to finish up by October, and we'll see how far we get down.
So you guys cancelled Ula?
We cancelled.
Al-Ula?
Oh
Yeah, I mean, they can't.
You need to come back again.
We're coming back
course,
before
of course.
2030
Well,
or by 2030.
Now you know us, so you can come back and we'll take you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
We drove to Al-Ula a couple of times.
But now we're gonna drive a car, not a bike.
We'll see.
Yeah, like
we might join.
we
Okay.
feel like we missed out with Riyadh and Al Ula as
Yeah.
well. And there's obviously a lot more to see in Saudi
Yeah,
as well.
beautiful
So.
country.
And the people we met, we didn't even get to talk about the firemen. So
Yeah, fireman. Yeah.
I would love to open that topic.
yeah,
talked
sorry,
about
we
Iraq,
we
you know?
rambled on for so
Yeah,
much
we-
there,
we-
sorry.
We probably ran.
Go ahead. طب كم عندنا? Go.
Okay.
You have it.
So, Philip, still recovering from his heat stroke.
Oh yeah, like I'm driving along trying to be like, yeah, just you'll be grand, the wind will, and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting any better. The world is spinning. I'm like half slumped in the bike trying to drive. And yeah, so eventually I just drive out in front of him like, you need to pull over. So we pull into this like tiny little, I think there's like 200 people living in the town, the fireman said. So I just thought it was a police station. I pull in, just like take off my boots. I don't see anyone. I'm like, just get me into AC. And then this Khaled was his name. Welcome. He brings me in, just like perfect little sitting area, AC blowing, watermelon all out, tea, coffee.
What's with watermelon, you guys?
dates,
Think summer.
Okay.
dates,
Watermelon
and
season.
a specific sauce from his tribe, Huava.
Huava. pava.
It's this beautiful sauce that
What?
you dip like dates into.
Interesting.
So we come in and
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I'm
Unique to
like,
his tribe.
I'm just blabbering at this stage because like my head is just all over the place. I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to sit down. He's like, yeah, sit down, drinking chai, and he's like absolutely pouring tea with sugar into me
Nice.
because he can see I need the sugar.
This is a 6 liter of tea?
Yes,
Oh.
yes. Every
I didn't, half the time I hadn't finished my tea and another cup was poured for me. Like it was, the hospitality was amazing.
Okay.
We wanted to go just because we wanted to get to Riyadh, but they were like, no, you must sleep. You must sleep. So they eventually persuaded us to sleep there. They cooked us dinner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
we dinner with them. Like we just slept for an hour. Just
Those
for
are
like
the
a nap.
firemen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
going to give us
They
an escort.
They cooked the dinner for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
nice.
they were going to give us an escort to
Majma,
Majma.
100k away in the
Oh.
dark because we were explained. They were like, why don't you drive at night in the dark? Everyone is perplexed. Why do we drive
Yeah.
in the day? It's because the lights on the bike aren't that good. It's not like car lights, so you can't see if anything comes out in front of you. Your reaction speeds are a lot slower. So yeah,
We, although we don't like the heat, we
Yeah.
still prefer to
It's
drive
safer.
at the night.
At
I
that
think.
day, yeah.
But yeah, amazing people. And
they were unreal.
like
And
we spoke to them for 4 hours, 5 hours,
5
Wow.
hours,
with the language barrier. So again, Google Translate and
Oof.
just
Yeah.
pointing, communication,
nice.
body language.
Yeah.
So it was
awesome.
amazing.
and just like
amazing
learning
experience.
about each other's cultures, like the whole tribal thing. He was like, Khaled was just completely perplexed as to. He was like, "So, what's your tribe?" And like he just couldn't get it, just couldn't understand it. And we were like, "We don't really have tribes. We did a long time ago, but not anymore." And he was like, "What? What do you mean?" So it was really interesting, like exchange between us.
As we told you, this is a common question over here. They're just they take pride in heritage over here, so they'd want to know where you originally came from and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
personally don't like the question. We don't ask it much in Jeddah, but I think everyone else does. So it's kind of a normal question to receive over here.
Yeah.
I receive it all the time when I go to Riyadh.
Yeah, all
Where do you
of us.
originally come from? Which tribe are
Yeah.
you from?
And another one, he was asking me, "So, like, who's your great grandfather?" I was like, "I don't
I
know."
don't even know.
Some guy.
Smart guy.
Anyways.
I remember, like, in my first year in Ireland, I actually asked the guy there, like, where are you originally from? He said, like, I'm from Dublin. I was like, no, originally, I don't know, Viking.
Good answer.
And it happened also in Medina. The guy at the desk, really nice guy. I was like, "Oh, so, and where are you from? You from Saudi?" He goes, "I'm from Pakistan. My grandparents moved here 80 years ago." But yet he was saying he was from Pakistan. I was like, "Well, you're kind of you're Saudi, like." And he was like, "Oh no, my grandparents were Pakistani, so I'm Pakistani." I'm like, "Okay, but you were born in Saudi. You've lived in Saudi your entire life."
I don't know if you can apply for a Saudi passport. I don't think you can. But
Very
is there
difficult.
any cases?
Yeah, I think,
Like a minimum, like you're an investor here.
or maybe a scientist. You know, like if you
Okay.
can benefit the government on something,
Yes.
research or something. Yeah, they give you
Okay.
that. But other than that, I think it's really hard to get it.
I think
So you guys really don't know which tribe you come from?
the
What a
Seal
shame.
clan, and the O'Connell clan.
One of those colonies in New Zealand there, one of those seal colonies there. Pun intended.
Amsterdam Island.
Pun intended.
The Floki clan. But no, it's amazing having you guys over here.
Yeah,
honestly,
well,
I
that's
hope we gave you enough hospitality over here.
Oh, you did.
Honestly, I appreciated the way you communicated with me since day one. I don't know who was talking to me, but I
Me.
appreciated it.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. Man, you were updating me step by step, so thanks a lot. And I'm happy we got to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank
But
you. It's
likewise.
nice to
You
meet
really need to
Likewise.
discover the country
Yes.
whenever you guys are free.
Plans are coming back.
Yeah,
we
definitely.
we need to see the line.
Definitely.
What's the
Oh,
city?
2030, yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll come back. I really want to see
Yeah,
Alola.
sure.
And south, what's down in the south in the
Ooh,
mountains?
South is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard.
South is so beautiful.
Nature is beautiful. If you
Yep.
love hiking,
Yes.
it's insane over here. We do rock climbing over here and hiking.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a rock climber.
Actually, when I was just before we got to Medina, maybe 100, 200k outside Medina, I was like looking left and
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I was thinking, wow, there's so many new routes to be put up along here in winter time. Beautiful. It looked like Wadi Rum maybe in Jordan or something.
Okay.
That's a lot of people in the West, like where we're from, would know of Jordan. Nobody actually. I know very few people who've ever been to, especially as tourists. Nobody has been to Saudi as a tourist.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think Saudi is only
just
kind of really
opened up.
opened up. Like,
It's
so,
literally just opened up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
3 years ago, something.
So I think it's.
So I'll give it a few years.
Yeah,
me too.
I
We'll,
think
we'll spread
it's-
the good
Thank
word.
you.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah.
I agree.
I think you're going to see a lot more. It'll be an interesting time for Saudi. I think.
I think it's definitely an interesting time to be living here.
Yeah.
Things are moving in a fast pace, which is not the usual pace that we move with. And then honestly, stuff are moving in a good direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I would say Saudi changed in the past 5 years more than it changed in the past 40 years, easily. Because we did have a slow pace, because everything is fine. Why fix something that's broken? But then I love what's happening. I really love what's happening. I mean, a couple of years ago, this would have never happened.
Yes.
So I'm thankful that we're opening up the borders for tourist visas and stuff like that.
So you can discover Saudi.
Yeah.
It's very
I don't
beautiful.
know if you have camera time left, but there's always this great video that I watched on YouTube before about this guy who traveled the whole world just by hitchhiking and
Oh.
couch surfing.
What?
Yeah.
The whole world?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Wow.
he's from Croatia.
Mm.
Right, so he's telling all his family and friends about his plans. And his friends go, "Where are you going first?" And he says, "I'm going to Serbia." And they're like, Serbia. They're wild in Serbia. They're not very nice in Serbia. Why would you go to Serbia? And he goes, "Well, it's part of my roots." And they're like, "Oh, you won't enjoy Serbia." So he goes to Serbia. Really nice people. Just as he's crossing from Serbia into Bulgaria, he's hitchhiking with a lorry driver. And he's telling the lorry driver about his family and friends back in Croatia, saying that, they said the Serbian people aren't nice. And he's saying, "Oh, they're so nice." And then the lorry driver's like, "Oh, us Serbs and Croatians, we're like brothers, we're best of friends. But Bulgaria, they're not so nice,
Wow.
So
every time he
he
goes,
crosses
Every
the
time he
borders
go.
to Bulgaria. It's nice. Bulgaria say, "Oh, Turkey, we don't like Turkey." So, every country kind of,
Talk about other
talk
country.
about other countries,
Yeah.
especially border countries and stuff like that. Like,
Until you go see it.
I'm
Is it-
kind of seeing that with Georgia and Armenia and even Georgia and Turkey. But then, like, you go in there, you go experience that country.
Yeah.
Perception is
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, perception.
Unless you've actually been there, the perception you're given from media, other sources that may not actually reflect what's on the ground. That's your reality in your mind.
I love
But
that.
did
Yeah.
the Iraqi and Kuwait people talk about us?
No, Saudi's always in favor.
Yeah.
Other
Okay.
people looking back to Iraq, they're like, why would you go to Iraq?
Yeah.
And the general stereotype, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think because it was a war country. That's why I think maybe. That's it.
Yeah.
Or when we mentioned in Iraq that we were going to Africa, they thought we were absolutely bananas. So like
crazy.
their country's a war zone, but like go to Africa, no.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's always interesting.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just hearsay, influences people.
Yeah, that's true.
So as you say, until you go and experience it, you'll never know.
I love that. You guys are properly citizens of the world, really.
We're
Like
getting
it.
there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Is the guy that you just talked about? Is he on YouTube?
It was a TED talk. I don't know if you've ever heard of
Oh,
TED Talks.
I know TED Talks, yeah.
Yeah. Pastovi something.
Okay.
I forget
I'll take the name from you later.
I'll look for it. Yeah,
Yes,
I haven't
please.
seen the video in a while now. But
Sounds exciting.
yeah.
One of my favorite sport talks is in TED Talk. I'll
Okay.
send you the link as
Is
well.
it the one about athletes and
It's the one.
performance?
Yes.
So
Did you watch it?
brilliant.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
2014.
Yeah. Yes.
I love it.
How it
how
hadn't
it
really
evolved.
improved. It was
Yeah.
just the equipment and stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Very good.
That was a good one.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's it.
Well,
It's a wrap.
Thanks a million, guys.
thank you. You guys, thank you.
Cheers,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully we didn't ramble on too much.
yeah.